of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning, everyone. You have the agenda before you. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay, in order for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Go ahead. It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. You have the minutes attached to the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
There are none, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, Recorder's Quarterly Report. Marilyn?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Mayor.
morning, Marilyn.
I think you probably have the report in front of you. We're a little bit down from last year, but that's basically because of, this is our second year in the boats and boat renewals. Last year was our first year, so it's an every 3-year cycle. So when you get into that report, the first year's pretty good, the second year's kind of like okay, and then the third year's just a cleanup. And then we start all over again, that cycle. But it's a 3-year cycle, so that's where we're down. It's just in the boats. That's the only thing. And on the birth replacements, again, in the last 3 months, we did another 123 of those, just replacements of those birth certificates. And our numbers, as far as recording, we're about 2 weeks ahead of last year. And that's kind of where we're at. Everything's just moving along. We're pretty steady with what we've been doing. And we're just, September 1st starts our ATVs and ORV snowmobile renewals. That starts again. August 15th is deer hunting, so that starts, our deer hunting license will go on sale August 15th. So that season gets kind of busy. But most of it's electronic, which we can do a lot of everything electronically. And the birth certificates are really nice, is because we're from 93 forward. So it's not just the replacements, it's just statewide for anyone that needs to walk in. And honestly, with driver's license okay right now, it's almost like when we had passports across the hall, and with passports also downstairs, we can issue those birth certificates. That people need to have a different one, or unless they're not in Carroll County, prior to 93. But it's handy having everything right there. It's driver's license right across, and they come over.
So you think when people are coming in to renew their driver's license or to get a driver's license, they see you and they take care of that business?
Well, or they don't have the right paperwork, and they didn't come over and get a birth
and ask
certificate.
about it.
So, certain
okay, that
years
one.
they were, they get issued, everybody got a birth certificate after a certain year, but there's a lot of them that do not have a birth certificate or a marriage certificate because they weren't issued. It wasn't part of the process, but now it is. So.
Well, a lot of them are given that card that they don't recognize as an official
Yeah,
document.
yeah. And so, or some just have the certificate of birth from the hospital or something like that, and that doesn't work anymore. It's always worked, but not anymore. So that part's handy. They can go over if they need to, they get the paperwork, and then they can go back and finish their business, which is nice. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Just
Just a question on you said the ATVs and is that a cyclical thing? I mean, do you?
Every year.
I mean, yeah, I know it's every year, but you said it starts in
September 1st.
Can't they renew those all year round, or?
Not renewals. Renewals start September 1st, and they're delinquent December 31st. It's like registering your car. They aren't like on a cycle like a car on your birth date. They have we go from.
Specific period of time?
We have a renewal time starting September 1st.
Okay.
And then December 31st, if they're January 1, if they haven't renewed by December 31st, they're delinquent. There's a $5 penalty on that. And we do send renewal cards out. Probably October, middle of October, late October, kind of when people start thinking a little bit more cold weather. And
What does it cost you?
$17.75 on a renewal.
And we retain how much of that? A what?
$1.25.
So we go through that whole process for $1.25?
By the time you mail stuff out.
Yeah, if you're mailing anything out,
I
if you're
know,
mailing
I
two
know.
things out.
No, we do charge postage if we mail it out. If we
Oh, you
mail-
charge per postage.
If they come in and if they send it in by mail, there's postage on it. But if they come in across the counter, yeah. We've worked at trying to have an increase, but there doesn't seem to be any.
Yeah.
No, that just doesn't seem to be part of the agenda.
I forgot to mention when I was at your counter earlier, had a gal, it was a unique situation with a birth certificate. Apparently she was born in Minnesota and adopted and had quite a mess up. And she had to go through your office. And she was very impressed with how Kathy helped her with your assistance. So I just appreciate
I think I
hearing
know which one that was.
You probably do. And
Yeah,
I
I
just
do.
appreciate hearing that from a supervisor's perspective. So thank you for the good service in
We'd
that
like to
respect.
hear that too.
Pass that on to Kathy.
Oh, I will,
Let's
I
tell her
will.
that's one.
And those are the things that, yeah, it's nice to hear that there's some situations that's what we deal with, and we try and, just because they maybe not born in Iowa, there's other extenuating circumstances that they need help with, and we do our best to help them. Any other questions?
I don't have any more.
I'm good. You need one stamp there?
Need a motion to approve that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the recorder's quarterly report.
I'll second that motion.
Then moved and second to approve the recorder's quarterly report. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Have a good day.
Okay. Next we have is the ambulance department update. Pat?
Good morning.
Morning, Pat.
I don't have a whole lot of information for you, but to give you what I do have. As of July 31st, our bookkeeper resigned. We did hire a new one, have her trained. She's also a certified coder. Very smooth transition, and that don't look for any snags there at all. I think it'll move along quite nicely.
Who is the new?
Lori Potoff out of Maine.
And when did
She was done the 31st of July. She spent about 3 weeks training Lori.
so she actually resigned in the first part of July then?
Yes.
And then had 3 weeks of training after that?
Started
Did
out-
you post that position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Put it in the paper. We've replaced one of our full-time people, and the one that we replaced is planning on coming back and working part-time at a later date when he gets established where he's at. I have 2 prospects for the 2 positions we have open yet. It'll be probably the end of July, the middle of September before either one of them are ready. In the meantime, I have 2 part-time EMTs that have taken their spot on the schedule. And then I pick up shifts here and there to fill in. So this should help on the overtime. I know last year we were concerned about overtime. We were over on the overtime, but the overall payroll budget came in okay. You know, the 3 different areas, the full-time, part-time, and overtime, all 3 of them together, we came in under what we budgeted for the 3 of them.
So you got 2 openings and you're interviewing for those. How many apps do you have?
2 good ones.
2. Okay.
And I had a call from a guy, I don't remember what it was from, up in northern Iowa. I've had several calls from other services wanting to know what we're doing about staffing, because everybody's having the same problem. And with that being said, I'm working on a proposal. I've talked to Rich about it a couple of times. similar to what the sheriff's department does with hiring deputies, where if we hire an EMT, send them through and train them with the 3, 4, 5-year contract, or payback, whichever. And, because it's just such a chunk to expect somebody to pay to get trained.
So you have 2 openings right now, 2 full-time openings? So were those people retired, or what's going on there?
One resigned and went somewhere else, and the other one left for other reasons. The proposal for the hiring of EMTs, I should have that hopefully within the next month, and I can bring it to you guys and show it to you and explain it to you.
Pat, on the training, what does it entail or dollar-wise to send somebody through the training?
Well, the last one that went through with all of his, of course, you're talking about travel expenses, where, you had a car that would cut that back dramatically. I'm guessing probably somewhere $8,000 to $10,000.
So I thought it was around 10.
It was closer to 14 with travel expenses and everything.
So that's basically on their dime until they get hired, or what?
That's the way it has been, yeah.
They don't get any help from the county association?
Maybe $1,000, because that goes mostly to volunteers. And, I know Rich and I talked about it, and Dr. Slattery and I have talked about it. There's a lot of EMTs out there that I think would be good to move up. They just can't afford to do it on their own. As of today, we've had 1,397 calls, and we still got 4 months to go, so it should be right around what we were last year. around 2,000.
That's comparable to last year.
Yeah. Maybe just a little bit ahead.
Did Linda retire, or did she just move on to something else?
She didn't technically retire, but I don't know if she's gonna
Okay.
work anywhere else.
Well, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know she was leaving it until right now, and I just, I'm sure and thank her for her work if she's decided to retire, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't pass that through the board, that Linda was leaving? Well, it would have been a good opportunity at that point in time to consider outsource billing, I think. That should have been considered before we hired anybody else. That's my opinion, but
Well, it seems like you've had a lot of turnover down there. Is there a reason for that, or you know?
Well, like, the one left to go to the sheriff's department. The other one left to go down to Dallas County, where his girlfriend is working. Also, where another one of our guys left to go to a couple years ago, Dallas County. And one left, like I said, for other reasons. You talk to people throughout the state, there's a lot of turnover. Right now, it's a good certified paramedic can go wherever they want.
Anticipating any more turnover, Pat?
No. Nope. I think things are gonna smooth out rather well now. I can explain a little more tomorrow in the board meeting. The only other thing is, the city's gonna be repaving 3rd Street here shortly. And last year we talked about redoing the approach to the building. We got one part of it done last year. I was gonna see if this would be a good time to do the rest of it. And the county did that part of it, and I think it was a tremendous savings. And they did a really nice job.
Well, and getting back to this other, with the change over personnel, and I know none of the departments do this, do they? And the exit interviews, has somebody sit in on the exit interview?
It's recommended to do that, but it's not a policy.
I know that where I worked previously, that's the way they did it. Yeah,
It
somebody
should
said-
be, but, there's no policy on that. So every department head handles it however they want, because there's no policy. Maybe there needs to be one, I don't know.
I always do a verbal exit interview.
What's that?
I always do a verbal exit interview just to see if there's anything that,
Yeah, but I'm talking about some other, most places they do it, but someone,
Outside party.
kind of a third party.
Oh, okay.
So that way you,
It's usually done by like a human resources
Yeah.
person. They're not part of the department at all, they just.
it's actually the department head doesn't sit on it, it's actually like human resources or third party.
So you might need it to have two then, you'd have probably one with the department head, so you could return uniforms or
Mhm.
keys or whatever, and then you'd probably have another.
Mhm.
I do it strictly to see if there's anything that they can point out that needs to be changed, or, you know, they're a little more free willing to talk if they're no longer obligated to the service, so you get some good insight that way.
I don't know, it just seems like we've had a lot of turnover down, particularly in that department, we don't on the other departments. That's just, with the issue that we have hiring, that bothers me.
Mhm.
I mean, because you don't seem to find those people, those staff members to get them in there, and just,
And retainment, that's the.
yeah.
Yeah, if they're hard to get, are we keeping them happy and doing a good job
Keeping them retained.
retained? You know, that's the big question.
And what are the issues?
Like I said before, when you leave our department and go to another department in the same county, work 24 hours a week less and $10,000 a year more, that's an issue.
Any other questions for Patrick?
Not at this time.
Or Pat? Always call it Patrick.
Thanks,
It's
Pat.
all right.
Thanks, Pat.
Call me Bill.
Thanks,
I
Pat.
was doing that too for a while.
Thanks, Pat.
Well, and I
Thanks,
think
Pat.
that's something that we're going to have to look at though, is this
Yeah.
exit thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe there's another way of getting around that instead of doing a survey of people too, you know.
I mean, Survey Monkey, something like that,
Yeah.
their staff.
Yeah, that's, Survey Monkey's cool because it's anonymous, but it wouldn't be anonymous, you
Not in
know.
a small
It's
department.
not like we got 20 people retiring
Sure.
every day, so there'd be no,
Yeah.
you'd figure it out real quick.
Well, I mean, yeah, unless there's some unique situation, you'd be able to figure it out, but we need, I think we need to look at something there. Okay.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay, next we have approval of payables. Or do you want to do the canvas first?
Okay,
This shouldn't
Take
take long.
2 minutes or 1 minute.
I didn't see anything unique. Is there anything I missed or anything you'd like to point out to us, Courtney?
Not that no, nothing unique. It was kind of an early bill day, but we had to do it now before, so we could get our phone bills paid. Normally we do it on the
Sure.
second one, but that would have been about the 14th.
Better than the conservation.
Then they would have been
District,
late.
Cabins progressing along real well,
Not
it
a
looks
lot
like.
of
Yeah,
bills.
yeah.
But we anticipated that was gonna happen.
See Conservation got their Bobcat.
Yep.
Well, seeing nothing out of the ordinary on the expense report, and I would make a motion that we approve the payables.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the payables. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we will do the canvas of the Carroll Special Collection.
So I've got all the tally books here. The results for each are here, so you can just read the race, the votes, and then the public measure and the votes for each one. And I'll check them off on my sheet. So I have 5 here, so somebody gets,
One for each one. Everybody gets a turn in the barrel.
Yep.
So, good.
start with Carroll Ward 1.
Okay, I've got that one. Carroll City Council person at large, total votes 417. Laverne Dirks, 206. Ronald Woody Byer, 78. Matt Hodges, 127. Write-ins, 6. Undervote is 38. Carroll City Public Measure E, total votes are 454. Yes votes were 246. No votes were 208.
Carroll Ward 2.
Carroll Ward 2, the Carroll City council person at large, there was 412 total votes. Laverne Dirks, 233. Ronald Woody Byer, 45. Matthew Hodges, 129. 5 write-in votes, 47 undervote. Carroll City Public Measure E, total votes 459, yes 258, no 201.
Sorry, Carroll Ward 3.
I thought maybe I did something wrong with you.
No.
Carroll City Council person at large. The total votes were 306. Laverne Dirks, 157. Ronald Byer, 47. Matthew Hodges, 97. The write-in vote were 5. Undervote was 24. In the public measure E, the total votes were 330. The yes votes were 183. The no votes were 147.
And Carroll Ward 4.
Carroll Ward 4, Carroll City Council person at large, total of 234 votes. Laverne Dirks, 112. Ronald Woody Byer, 56. Matthew Hodges, 61. Write-ins, 5. Undervote, 28. Carroll City Public Measure E, total votes, 262. Yes votes, 137. No votes, 125.
And absentee.
A very active absentee.
Yes.
Total number of votes, 1,164. And this is for Carroll City Councilman at large. Laverne Dirks, 737. Ronald Woody Byer, 100. Matthew Hodges, 317. 10 write-ins, 242 undervotes. Carroll City Public Measure E, yes. There were 1,404 votes. Yes votes was 979. No votes, 425, with only 2 undervotes. So it's quite obvious what fueled the absentee ballots, which we all knew that anyway.
Right, just for everybody's information, I have a consolidated one. I'm gonna read that because it'll, so, consolidating all the precincts for Carroll City Councilperson at large. Laverne Dirks, 1,445. Ronald Woody Byer, 326. Matthew Hodges, 731. And there were 31 write-ins. Carroll City Public Measure E, there were 1,803 yes votes, and no's were 1,106. So this, the public measure needed 60 plus 1. It received 61.98%. So it does pass. And Laverne Dirks does hold the council seat. So we need a motion to approve the canvass, and then I have some abstracts and some other things for the board to sign.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the canvass?
So moved.
I'll second that
Been
motion.
moved in second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
Alright, so the first one I passed around needs everyone's signature. Please help me, everybody's as well.
Need a
This
blue
is-
pen?
No, that's fine. And this is a certificate for Laverne that just needs your signature.
81 absentees came back.
16?
And what were they were?
No, they're included in the
Oh.
because they were ran after the fact, and then when I plugged in the results, it reports the absentees. It doesn't give you the 16.
On the library one, I think, like 11 to 5 or something like that.
I'm sorry, I don't remember. Alright. That
Okay.
takes care of that. We'll be ready for the school election next month.
All right, next we have manure management annual update, and we have one for Hill and Business for County Livestock Farm, section 25 of Wheatland Township, there's no changes. Brian Schrader, section 21 Arcadia Township, no changes. Rolay Nursery Clark Family Farms of Iowa LLC, section 20 of Union, and that is an original plan.
That Brian Schrader one, or Schroeder, that's from last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't hear back from them.
Okay, Marty, ready to report?
Last week was a pretty slow week. I had just went over to the Glidden Quasqueeze Centennial last week, or Saturday for the parade, and had a good turnout all weekend there. This week, I've got a solid waste board meeting tomorrow morning, and then also going down to Coon Rapids, got a call from a landowner down there regarding cutout by a bridge on the county line between Ottawa and Carroll County, with Mike Willenberg. Going down to take a look at that tomorrow morning, right around 9:30 or so. And then on Thursday, I've got regional board meeting at 12:30.
Yeah. Okay, Monday, I signed checks and reviewed claims at RSVP and foster grandparents. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those 3 days was spent in meeting with the jail committee. I refer to it as jail time because they were full day meetings all 3 days. Learned more about jails than I ever knew in my life, and the sheriff made the same comment this morning when I visited with him. It was the PONY program, planning new institutions. It's designed for, actually primarily for institutions a little bigger than ours, I would say, is what their typical run is. It was unique in that Monona County came over as well, their sheriff, one of their supervisors, 2 of their deputies, and their auditor also came over and were part of it. And I was glad they were there. They made some unique comments. Their situation is a little bit different than ours, but I think we all learned together. And no decisions have been made yet. I think the next step is pretty much to determine what size of jail do we need. Tough decision. We're going to look at some historical information and try to plan ahead. It's impossible to be correct for several reasons. First of all, we don't know what the future is going to bring. And it's a dangerous decision, or one you want to have right. You don't want to build a jail with a bunch of empty cells and say, because they're expensive. And you'd say, wow, why do we have all these empty cells with nobody in them? And same token, you don't want to build too small and say, hey, this guy should be in prison. Why is he out walking around? Because the jail's too full. So size is important and difficult to accurately do. And I'll just stop at that. Gene was at the meeting too. He may want to add quite a bit of stuff. So, of course, went to the Sesquicentennial in Glidden, having been an alumni and raised up in the town. Saw the opening of the time capsule there. Saw my brother in a beard contest, which he did not win. And at the end of the thing, heard some interesting people talk about, growing up in Glidden, spent their whole life there, talk about the town of Glidden and how great of a place Glidden and Carroll County is to live. So I'm glad to be in a community where people like their towns and like, so it's kind of a good reflection on Carroll County. It was kind of zeroed in on the community of Glidden, but just over and over, people say this is where they want to raise their families. So that made me feel good as a supervisor to hear that. And this week, got a real quiet week so far, but we'll see what happens.
Jamie?
I had very little last week. I went to the sesquicentennial parade and participated in that, and I have the radio this week. Supposed to have conservation tonight. That's been pushed off until next Monday night. And I don't have anything going this week except the radio.
Okay. Rich?
Last week I jumped in and filled in on a 911 board meeting for Dean, and I'm glad to do it. There wasn't a lot on the topic of discussion. They had ordered a new vehicle. It is here and will be in service soon, and they'll be divesting themselves of the old vehicle shortly thereafter. And I did point out to them, make sure that when we find out where the vehicle was purchased at, we want to make sure that that money flows back into that same account that it came out of when they do sell it. And Terry will be digging into that. She may call you on that to make sure. She was pretty sure it came from management money, but emergency management money, but wanted to double check that. The new statewide mapping for the new ISIC that they, the new radio system that they're looking, they had a copy of the map. Looks very favorable for Carroll County with the same old exceptions of Manning, Coon Rapids, and Breda. Looks like the coverage will be very good. Indoor coverage could be sporadic. That's where the issues were before, and that's where they probably will continue. It came out of from Motorola, and I have done business with Motorola before, and they typically try to undersell their coverage. So we may get better coverage than what the map shows. So we'll have to do the experiments and go from that point and see if we need repeater towers. They are doing some legwork to make sure the repeater towers are getting lined up where they would like to put them, where they can put them, and try to get that organized. So if they do, they can make that move. And that's probably a year away before this is all comes to pass anyway, and it may change. Anything with the state or any government may subject to change. They had put in some new equipment. They had some issues with it for paging. Between the telephone system and the compatibility of the computers and the software they're using. So they had to go back to the old till they get this ironed out. They were assured it would work, and it did not work as well as they anticipated, so they're back onto the old. But they are going to slowly try to bring each piece in now instead of try to do a master change. They're just going to try to bring a piece at a time in until they can get it all ironed out at the same time. Other than that, that was pretty much it for them. I have nothing coming forward this week. That's it.
Okay. I myself was at the pony, as Neil mentioned. That was, I agree with everything Neil said. We wound up learning more about jails than we ever dreamt about, and how details can make a difference all the way through the process as far as what the cost of that jail is going to be. I think that one of the things that I found out was that the jail that we liked is probably not acceptable today, because they have to have this actual visual instead of the monitor. This guy, Neil brought it up, and I brought it up to him privately before that, and you're just asking for a lawsuit, basically. And it was, I think, a very good, interesting program. Made you think a lot. I think everybody went home tired every night. And the thing is, I think, like Neil says, our next step, I think, is that assessment process to determine what we want, if we need it, and we'll have to go from there. And that's, I would say, our next process. Then on Wednesday night, I had an executive committee meeting for Policy Council. And basically what they did there is they approved some policies and procedures due to training coming up here on the 14th. They wanted these in place, approved, so that when they're doing the training with the new staff, that they'd be able to go through them. And there were Head Start policies and procedures, and also the school readiness goals. And then also we had 3 waivers that we had to approve, basically the same waivers that we have every year to change size of classroom up to 20 in the school districts. And then also, one of the other ones is the transportation, that we, with the school district, we don't need a bus monitor and the child restraints, because those school buses are built differently. Then we also went through staff updates. This week, I have got CADC tomorrow that will be in regard to bomb guards moved. And then also on Wednesday, I have Head Start grant assessment. That's where we meet with the feds, go through our plus and minuses that we need on the program and where we're standing on that. The other thing I did get, and I think you all got this letter from Lynn Block out of Manning. Did you all get one of them?
Mhm.
Yep. In regard to some of the things they're doing with healthcare, particularly with the mental health issues, so.
I did not, I didn't.
You didn't get anything?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you didn't, we can make a copy of it.
I think primarily she wants to meet with the mental health issues, what she
Yeah.
wants to talk about. So
Yeah.
she'll be talking with Rolling Hills.
Yeah, it was directed at the Rolling Hills.
Yeah.
I see the problem.
And
It's got a bad email
late Friday, I did get the paperwork on the real estate that we're dealing with, so I'll probably try and get that done this week. Courtney, you got anything?
I don't.
Question, we hired Renee to do our, some work for us, our handbook. Has she been working on that? Do you
I
know?
got an email from her late Friday.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to, but it's got kind of a rough draft.
Okay, so
So
she's been
I-
moving forward on it, that's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it and then I'll forward it to the.
Knowing her, I assumed she had been, but I hadn't heard anything, so it's a good time to ask the question. Good.
And we have department head meetings for the courthouse. We do have a meeting on Wednesday, we're gonna be talking about that a little bit.
Okay.
And bring up the thing about the exit interview, because that might be something that needs to be in the handbook as procedure for when somebody leaves.
Well, if there's some issues going on, then we can trace this a little bit. And I think it needs to be someone out of that department.
I would agree.
And I hate to say it, but right now that would fall probably on your department.
Yeah.
I think it's incumbent upon the department head to do that. Because I think somebody quits, let's just say secondary roads, I think the engineer should say, well, you're quitting, you're moving on. Wish you well, but why are you quitting? What? More than, I think it's incumbent upon, should be incumbent on the department head. That's my thought on it.
Well, I think sometimes
Yeah.
when you got a third party or someone else, they may release some information of what's going on. If there's some underlying story.
It's, could be, Gene, could be.
But that's not indicative of all departments, though. I mean, I'm just saying. You mentioned the secondary roads, I mean. Maybe they need to be filling out a form, these individuals, and just fill out, why are you leaving, and I don't know, something like that. That you guys can discuss that.
Yeah, it's a good idea though. But the thing is we don't usually run into this.
Sure.
Normally, in the past, if somebody's left, it's because they're retiring.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of turnover, which is nice.
Sure.
It is.
We just retired 2 people in secondary roads that had an enormous length of service on each of them.
Yeah, and,
You'll not find it.
Yeah.
And they've hired a lot of
I
young
found the
people out
problem.
there,
I'll email
and none
her,
of them
email
have
her,
left.
tell her how to fix it. She got
So.
a bad wrong.
Well, they've got a
in my email address.
Pretty big
Got
list
K,
of
it's
applicants
H.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
people that
And
have good jobs now.
And I understand being a paramedic is a different skill set. There's just not enough people around here with it. But,
Just a comment, you're having a department head meeting on Wednesday?
I believe so, yes.
I think it would have been, I mean, the supervisors are invited to those.
Are they?
I don't know.
Never have been.
No, it's more, it was just for the department heads in this building, just to
Okay.
kind of touch base. It started out of everyone's gonna touch base, just to see how everybody, just to keep in touch, basically, see what's going on in each other's offices and stuff like that, but it seems like it's turned into more, I don't know. And I told Cindy, I said, maybe we need to look at broadening the invitees, because what started out as just kind of a get-together to see how other departments, what was going on in other departments, kind of an update, just so we all knew what everybody was doing up here. It's turned into more than that. You know, it's more, well, we should do this, or we should do that. Well, if that's the case, then everybody needs to be here.
But at the same time, I think if you have those, if there's an issue that there should be one person approaching this board, not that we have 10.
No, I would suggest you go.
Well, or either that, or I just think.
The chairman goes.
Just quarterly report back to us.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Well, and that kind of bothered, I know what you're talking about, and that upset me because there was no decision made. They just,
Yeah.
she took it upon herself to do that.
'Cause I
And
think
I
there's a
can't
couple
control
of us
that,
got
and
jumped
you're
on
gonna have that
something,
at
right?
every meeting, because that's just
I
how
don't
some
want that.
people.
I think it should be one person coming telling us that.
And that's what I said. If there's a recommendation to the board of supervisors, it should be coming either in the form of a letter, or, to me, it should be in writing. But so anyway, that's what I wanna talk about on Wednesday, is, hey, maybe we need to look at, if we're gonna start making recommendations, we better have everybody at least invited. I'm not saying they have to be here, because it does tend to focus on the courthouse issues, and so then you've got Jason or Dave here that are, you know, it doesn't really pertain to them, so then they're sitting here going, well, this is a waste of time. But then you'll have somebody bring something up about the handbook or policy, and then they need to be here, at least to put their,
But at the same time, it's good for them to know what's going on too with other departments. If
yeah.
there's
So
an issue.
that's what I'm gonna bring up on Wednesday, and then we'll go from there. Okay. That's all we have going on.
Anything else? Any comments from those in attendance? If there's nothing else, then we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Been moved second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.